Hello, wise monkey. I see you. I see you, fellow sentient self-reflection, self-reflexive manifestation of energy in an amoral and meaningless universe. As it happens, I quite like chess. I do. Do you know why I like chess? Because it's one of the many things I do that helps to alleviate suffering in my life. It distracts my mind from the absurdity of the human condition. I know a little bit about the history of chess, since you ask. I know, for example, that the game evolved, like life. And originally, you could only move your pawn one square forward. You couldn't move it two forward when you first initially move it. You had to move it only one square. So that changed. But to be honest, the history of chess isn't interesting to me. But the logic is interesting to me. I like chess because it's logical, and there is a kind of aesthetic beauty that can be derived from chess. It's like a marriage between logic and science and art, just to show my knowledge of the game a little bit. This is a good opening that I like. It's a bit aggressive. The King's Gambit. Now, if this black pawn takes that white pawn, it's a pawn gambit. But then Bobby Fischer used to like to put his bishop there on c4, controlling the centre. Very nice. And we've got the Queen's Gambit, like that, which isn't really a gambit, because if the black pawn takes, then the Queen can just check and gain the pawn straight away. Got the Roy Le Pez, King's Open. Yes, the Royal Le Pez, which is Bishop b5, like that. Yeah, all these different openings. Very interesting. I enjoy playing chess. And I like playing chess because it's a metaphor for life in a way. This is the human condition, okay? And the black pieces is kind of where mankind wants to get to. So what we're doing is we're creating new life, and we're thrusting these pawns forward. We're sacrificing them. Except these are sentient beings that can feel pain and suffering and know that they're going to die. And generation after generation, we just carelessly, nonchalantly, just throw those pawns forward. And for what? For what? I'll show you what for. So we get a temporary stalemate like this. Now these are the needs, wants and desires, and the white piece represents the fact that these needs, wants and desires have been met, but there's nowhere else to go after that. It's just utterly pointless and meaningless. It's still not an advantage over non-existence. So you've sacrificed all these pawns, to get to a state where it's a stalemate. It's ridiculous. Let's read the newspaper together, shall we, crazy monkey? In a rational, logical way, not in the insane, irrational, emotional driven way that you seem to like to absorb information and learn about new things. Let's have a look at the front of the paper. Right, we've got a picture of Lady Gaga, who she died yesterday, didn't she? She suffered from manic depression, so she experienced a lot of pain and suffering that she didn't have to. If her parents hadn't brought her into existence, she would have been spared of all that. But that's in Mendham's metaphor of bringing new people into life and being strapped into a distressing amusement park ride. Only they get to choose whether they want to get into that thing or not. But when you're born, you don't choose to be born. Let's have a look at the next page. anger as fuel bills soar. Well, anger isn't a very nice, pleasant emotion to experience, is it? It's not nice to feel angry, and it's not nice to be the recipient of anger. So that anger could have been completely circumnavigated. Well, not even circumnavigated, it just wouldn't have happened if the people who experienced that anger hadn't been brought into existence. Murder toll. Murder isn't very nice, that's distressing to the people who are left behind. But if you don't bring into existence the people who are left behind, then they won't suffer. They wouldn't suffer. What else have we got? Lady Gaga. See, this is how the media works. This is how the human societies work. We just, well, at least in the Western world, because we're very celebrity-led. All this fixation on this one insignificant human being, when there are millions of people who are suffering right now. Toxic Europe. If there's no sentient beings, then there's no need to worry about things being toxic. 3 die in fall, 3 students, 22, 27 and 21 years old. So they would have suffered just before they died. There was no need to bring them into existence. And now, ironically, the parents who brought those 3 students into existence, they're mourning, so they're suffering as a result of bringing their sons into existence. A couple there, they look reasonably happy and content, so I think there's a cessation of suffering there at the moment. So I don't think you'd say that these 2 people currently have a mental state as depicted in this picture that is inferior to non-existence, but it's certainly not superior to non-existence. Justice for Lindsay. This is about the teacher she went to Japan and she was tortured and murdered by this guy, and the father, this guy has just been convicted after a long, trial and everything, and he's giving the Japanese judicial system a thumbs up. I don't give that father a thumbs up, I give him a thumbs down, because due to his own selfish, irrational needs and desires, he felt compelled to bring this young woman into existence, only for her to be tormented, tortured and murdered by this individual. This sick individual, I think it's fair to say. A wedding cake. See, look at the juxtaposition. You've got a poor girl being murdered and raped. Oh, look, there's a wedding cake. Oh, what a lovely dress. Though this is how fickle and irrational human beings are, that they'll equate this as, oh, these are nice, good things, let's bring people into existence, and they kind of equate it on a level par with this shit. Do you dig me? David Beckham. Well, he's the perpetrator of procreation, so all his sons are going to die. Nice one, David. Just trivial stuff. Yeah, well done. You've created these new sentient, self-reflexive manifestations of energy that are going to die. At the moment, they seem like a happy family, so there's cessation of suffering at this particular moment. Oh, look. Any relation, crazy monkey? See? This freaky monkey, I think it is a relation, maybe it's your brother. This freaky monkey sparked panic in a village when locals feared it was an alien. So these villagers, they experience panic, and panic is not a nice experience to experience. So they were harmed by that experience, and they needn't have been exposed to that panic. 3 children suffered predictable and preventable abuse and neglect at the hands of 2 doctors. So just pointless suffering. I mean, even in fiction, Doctor Who, this is an unpleasant experience that Doctor Who is experiencing. but that's fictional, so I won't go into that too much. I mean, it's the same with Calvin and Hobbes. There's conflict between Calvin and his parents. Very nice. Oh, look, pretty. Oh, isn't that nice? Gambling. Like procreation, gambling. Dolly Parton. Music's my therapy. When I'm hurting the most, I write about it. So she's using sublimation, you know, a little bit like what I'm doing with my antinatalist channel to a certain extent. You know, I'm converting my existential angst into a form that I can express it freely, discharging it out of my system, as it were. And then look at the back. Gambling, horse racing. You know, it's human beings have a tendency to want to gamble, and it's pernicious when you're doing it with your own children. And you had digs at Emendum and Metamorph. You know, I mean, you said that Emendum, you know, covets your derriere. But I wonder, Crazy Monkey, you know, like other primates in the animal kingdom, do your buttocks light up like Christmas trees when you're in heat? I'm serious. Well, ta-ta.